Hello, everybody. My name is Brittany Winfield of the Winfield Creative and your Mad River Valley marketing consultant. Today, we're going to be talking about growing your online network with purpose. So let's get into it. If you are just hearing about me for the first time, hi. Again, my name is Brittany. I'm the owner of the Winfield Creative, and I'm a social media manager and mentor for Vermont businesses. And I self-describe myself as an overachieving millennial. I'm a professional social media strategist, helping business owners navigate all of the different platforms and ways to grow their social networks. And I have an expensive degree habit. I got my communications degree in media studies from East Stroudsburg University and my MBA from Champlain College, and then launched the Winfield Creative in 2021. It's just a little background about me. I always like to point out that I do offer free resources for business owners, including the Marketing Mixtape podcast, the Social Spark blog, which comes out with very helpful blog posts every single Monday, and also the Viral Vibes newsletter, which sends to all of my email subscribers every single Monday with trending audios and different social media strategies to keep folks informed and educated as far as social media strategies in the current moments. So let's get into it. Online networking, it's not just about the numbers. It's not just about how many followers that you have. It's all about the connections that matter. So how are you utilizing social media as a social network? It's a two-word phrase, social media. And oftentimes we get so caught up with the media pieces that we forget that it's a social platform. And that was no matter what platform you're on, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, does not matter, because all of the platforms fundamentally were created in order to create community in different ways from each other. But that's what it's all about. So keeping that mindset will allow you to do your networking even over a phone screen. And by leaning into the social aspects of social media, you're actually going to create more engagement for your profile, the media pieces. So especially if you are running an account and putting out a bunch of content that it's not quite reaching the view counts that you want, maybe you're working hard at creating reels or posting 3 times a week and you're just not getting the results that you're hoping for. Well, if you are able to put more engagement onto the platform, onto other people's profiles, you'll actually help gain more visibility for your profile as well. The connections, if they are strategic, they can open up doors and opportunities for you in the real world. Oftentimes we think of the real world versus the social media world as like two different pillars, but really we should look at them as a married pipeline, so to speak, so that way we are able to maybe connect with folks over an online platform, but then how do we bring them into our real world? So onto our email newsletter, invite them for a coffee chat. If you're planning on going to an event, for example, and they mention that they're going to be there, that's an opportunity to go then find them at the event, and vice versa also. So as we are going and meeting people in more traditional networking settings, it's a way to continue relationships and relationship building with those people, because that's what it's all about. When you have strong relationships, that equates to more business growth and helping you really reach those business goals that we talked about in lesson 1, which is a good point. I also want to mention, if this is your first video that you're watching, make sure that you watch the rest of the series on the Mad River Valley's YouTube channel, especially Marketing 101, which was the first workshop that we did all together, because that will help you define your target audience. And so that way you can pinpoint social media strategies and overall marketing strategies to reach those folks faster and quicker and more strategically. So I always like to point that out. Okay, so we have more traditional networking. This might look like in person. And the benefits of traditional networking is it builds trust quickly. Being able to have a face-to-face conversation, oftentimes you can build stronger personal connections with folks. It's great for local business visibility when you get a bunch of community members in one room together. And it also offers more immediate feedback and relationship building. So let's say you are working in an office with your teammates, for example, and you have this idea that, you call your coworker over and say, hey, take a look at this. I'd be interested to know what you think. That's a little bit quicker than social media and building your digital community. So that's just a little bit more of a benefit to in-person networking. We also see this in examples in the Mad River Valley, like the Mad River Valley Women in Business, for example. That is an amazing affinity network that brings the women-owned business owners in the Mad River Valley together for idea sharing, knowledge sharing, and being able to support each other with local business accountability. Now, let's look at online networking. So, social media, building up digital communities. This allows you to expand your reach beyond just that hyper localized geographic location. So, if you're a business that serves folks in the Mad River Valley, but maybe on the outskirts, like Waterbury, Stowe, whatever, Chittenden County, it allows you to expand your reach beyond just who would be at local business events. It also allows you to have consistent engagement and touch points. So online, leaning into building your online network, it's very easy to just pick up your phone every day and start a conversation with somebody over direct messages versus waiting maybe a month to see them at the next networking event. It's easier to stay on top of mind with connections, especially when you are putting yourself out there and engaging with others. And it also allows for more opportunities, like casting a wider net of opportunities for collaborations and referrals. So just weighing the differences between the two, but we're going to talk about how to really look at these like they are working hand in hand with one another, because that's what it's all about. It doesn't have to be one way or another. You can meet somebody in person and stay connected online. You can engage with them digitally to strengthen your real world relationships. You can also use social media to nurture connections before and after events. That's especially a super helpful piece. Is sometimes I like to put myself in the mindset like a networking event is kind of like a job interview. You are when you're a solopreneur, it's not always something you feel like you have to worry about because you're not applying to jobs. But when you're a business owner, you kind of are all the time when you're at networking events. So for me personally, I like to think of it like a job interview, and I would never walk into a job interview without going to the website and reading about the mission and the vision of the business. I would never walk into an interview and not know the name of the person that I'm interviewing with and trying to impress. I would never walk into a job interview without some questions prepared, for example, in order to create connection cues between myself and the interviewer. Looking at networking events, all of this pre-work before you go to an in-person event, that's where social media is so helpful. You can look up different people that are going to be at the event and then go look them up on LinkedIn and learn just a little bit about them, or even just know who's in the room. So that way, when you get to the event, instead of trying to just network in a sea of 100 people hoping you make a meaningful connection, you are able to be a little bit more strategic when you're going out in the real world. And if you already have a person in mind, or a business, or even a business description in mind, like, hey, I'm looking to meet other like web designers, or I'm looking to look I'm about to host a giveaway, I'm looking to meet other retailers. And if you can get more specific, great. But this allows you to once you walk into the room, walk in with a little bit more confidence that you've got your eyes on the prize. And that way you're able to land the interview or land the job, bridge that referral connection with the person that you intended to make the connection with. So it's also a connection tool after an event. So let's say that you go to an event, and for example, this past weekend was the Lawson's Women International Women's Day celebration in Waitsfield. That was a huge event with so many people. It was a it's always impossible. You're never going to be able to connect with 100% of the room. However, if you were cut off in conversation or you want to continue deepening relationships with people, for me, I met somebody, a local business owner, that we decided to follow up on LinkedIn with each other, and now we're doing a coffee chat in real life. So that started as an in-person connection, moved it to the online space where it was like, hey, like, it was so good to meet you. I see on your LinkedIn profile that you have this experience. I would love to chat with you more about that. Do you want to set up a coffee chat? So it allows a continuation and a deepening of relationships before and after events as well. And that's strategic networking. Okay, so how do you do this? How do you grow your online network with purpose? Well, first of all, you have to define your networking goals. I would like you to ask yourself, what do you want your online network to do for you? What do you want it to do? Do you want people to engage with your social media profile? Are you just looking to get to 1,000 followers? Are you looking for your online network to send you people that need a certain service or fit inside of a certain persona? Are you looking for customers? Are you looking for collaborators? Are you looking for referrals to other business colleagues? And also important to ask yourself is, where do your online connections, or where do your ideal connections spend their time online? Because this will allow you to choose platforms and also messaging that would, one, they'd be already on the platform, so you have a higher chance of finding the folks there, instead of like a different platform that they're not even on. And then also the messaging itself is super important, so that way you have clarity and can attract folks and speak their language in the way that they speak. Which also, if you have not watched Speak Their Language, that was the last training session that we did together. So that's always a great one to go back to, so that way you are speaking their language when you are reaching out to people or talking to people in the real world. Because a purposeful connection starts with clarity. It starts with defining and identifying who, what, when, where, and why. So that way you are showing up with intention. You are putting it out there that, you are asking for what you need. And that's always a good thing when you're in business, because the worst thing that they could say is no. And chances are people don't usually say no. And I also want to point out that you can absolutely start with your Mad River Valley connections. The Mad River Valley, especially on Instagram, has such a following that you can start with that profile as the anchor business to start making connections. So if you are looking to increase your followers list, for example, let's say you're at 500 followers and you're looking to gain, reach 100 followers in the next month. A great place to start would be going to the Mad River Valley's Instagram account, and going and clicking to the top where their followers are, and going to connect with other business owners that is in your geographic location. So that way you start to bridge these referral gaps with the folks that are surrounding your location, and start to build this online community in a way that reflects your geographic community as well. Yeah. And also, I want to point out that at the end of this training, actually, maybe I shouldn't spoil it, but I'm going to spoil it a little bit. The Mad River Valley is really trying hard to highlight the local businesses. So at the end of this video, you'll be able to really collaborate with them in a way that will bolster your followers list as well, while also helping the Mad River Valley with this collaboration effort and collaboration campaign to highlight different businesses. So stick around for that. But how do you measure networking progress? Success is a very subjective word. It means something different to everybody. Oftentimes, when it comes to looking at your data on social media, we think of looking at insights. We're thinking about more vanity metrics of how many followers do we have, how many likes do we have, how much reach do we have. When it comes to networking specifically and measuring And vanity metrics are good for measuring how is your media doing so you can tweak your content. When it comes to the social pieces, think about value metrics. So comments, which helps the algorithm spin and pushes your content out to more people. How do you get more shares? Because that is also a piece that helps the algorithm spin and also get your messaging out to more people because people are sharing your message. Different conversations with people. How many connections have you made today? And not only how many connections have you made with people, but have you gone the extra step and making that connection come out of the online circle, bringing them off your follower list, and setting up opportunities in person in a more traditional networking sort of way. Direct messages, which is what DMs stand for, and relationships. So define that for yourself. How do you measure networking progress? Is it the amount of conversations that you've had today? Is it how many comments you've left on other people's posts? Focusing on engagement over eyeballs, because the first one helps the second one. Quality over quantity. So when we need that, we mean quality comments that you're leaving on people's different posts. So instead of just leaving like a smiley face or a heart emoji, can you ask that person a question? Keeping the conversation open-ended so that way they feel compelled to answer it as well. You get to know about the business, you get to reply. And it just from a community building perspective, let's say your business A, their business B, and then you both are conversing with each other and you have a little bit of overlap in target audiences. Let's say they're a complementary business, they don't do the same services, but your target audience may overlap. So you have customer C over here that is seeing this exchange between the two of you in an online sphere. And to them, that bolsters the perspective being like, oh, these are cool community members that are supporting one another clearly. Not only are they seeing the conversation, but they're seeing your profiles, your handles, and they're going to be curious about what you both have to offer as they're seeing you converse with one another. So that's what I mean by quality over quantity. How are you opening up conversations and encouraging curiosity in the online community space? And then relationships over algorithms. So I always say I would rather have a client that has 100 followers that when they put out a post, they're getting, let's say, 50 comments out of the deal, like really like a vibrant community, over somebody that has 1,500 followers and not one person makes a comment on their post. That's what I mean by relationships over algorithm, where, these vanity metrics, followers, stuff like that, it could be very, tough to compare yourself against somebody that has a higher following. But what you need to really focus on is, are the people on your followers list truly a collaborator, a potential customer, or a referral bridge for your business? And that's not always what we see. We sometimes just look at the number at the top of somebody's page, that we don't always look right into their followers list to see, if their community is built up in the way that is purposeful. Okay, number 2, locating your audience. So again, I will reiterate that if you don't know who your ideal customers are, I'd recommend pausing the video and, or maybe continue watching this video, but definitely watching lesson 1, which was Marketing 101, which you were provided a workbook to exactly define who your target audience and ideal connections are. So if you don't know how to answer this question, that's how you answer it. So ask yourself, who are your ideal connections? Go back to your workbook, pull the answer from there, and really examining who are your potential customers, who are your referral partners, who are thought leaders in your industry. This is often where we sometimes think of them as competitors, which it makes sense why. But what we can pull from them is inspiration for content, but also folks that do have a higher number of audience participation. That is a great place for you to sneak into the conversation, apply your perspective to it, and also, especially on these more anchor businesses that do have high engagement, they have a high following count, like their comment section is just like full of people having conversations. You are establishing yourself by adding to the conversation your credibility and authority in a humble way, because you are offering to add to the community as an active participant. So what we want to avoid is, this over here, do I know you from It's Always Sunny, is, spending so much time on platforms where your audience is not located, talking to them in a way where it's just like, like, what are you doing here? And being able to also bolster your own community in your own online network. So you have people commenting on your posts that as well, because, or at least what type of person they are, because oftentimes you'll get also like spam bot comments that it's just like, like, they're just fake profiles, and sometimes you have that reaction of like, do I know you? And don't delete those comments because they do help your engagement in a way, but also that's not a comment like that. They're not starting a conversation. They're just trying to sell you something. So it's not helping you be able to react to that in the form of a comment in order to keep your algorithm going, basically, is what I'm saying. So after you ask yourself, who are your ideal connections, then ask yourself, where are they located? Are they in LinkedIn groups? Are they in Facebook groups? Are they on Instagram? Are they in local business communities like associations? Are they engaging in certain hashtags or participating in certain trends? So that way you can choose effectively where you're going to send your messaging in your media, where you're going to engage in different conversations, and also using the hashtags, using the trends, so that way you are putting your media in front of the right people that, like, you're following them, not trying to you're not trying to chase them and casting a wide net and hoping you reach them. You are putting yourself right next to them and starting a conversation. So then step 3 is creating the content for them. So your content should spark conversations, position you as a resource, showcase your personality, your business's culture, your authenticity, and add value to their lives. So some ideas for you as we're trying to put this into practice is sharing behind the scenes of your work. So this often is, as far as content goes, sometimes could be quick snaps that you do, like a photo dump is what they call it, of, behind the scenes, here's a project we're working on, here's the team, rah-rahing in order to get something done. It's also a quick way to do content. You've also probably seen B-roll, which is just a little bit of video that is somebody doing something that is related to their business or entrepreneurship. So it could be like typing, it could be putting together a gift basket, it could be helping a customer, or even just like writing in a notebook. So that way, the reason for sharing behind the scenes work is so that way it showcases the authenticity, but also subconsciously adds value to the things that you're trying to sell to them, because people often forget, like, they see this product for $49.99 and it's just like they're taking it literally at face value, but they don't think off the top, unless they're told, like, how much work goes into it. So the research and development, the decision-making process, the feedback, the focus groups, going back to the protocol making or the prototype making. They don't see like how much time it took you to like set up the website and get things going and the marketing and all that stuff. So by sharing the process, not only can you engage your community and get feedback from them in real time, so use them as your online focus group, it also adds value to this product or service that you're selling. That's why oftentimes when you are, looking at a course website or a product, they'll say like valued at $9.99 with like a slash, and then it'll say you could get it for $4.99, and then they might like show pictures of the process. That's why they're doing it. But by showing the behind the scenes, it's like low pressure type of content that you can put out there to really showcase like how much work goes into running your business. Providing tips and industry insights. So education is a great content pillar to lean on because the online education business is only going to continue booming over the next few years. So by providing tips, it establishes you as a resource, a knowledge-based human being, really putting yourself as an authority figure and a thought leader in your own community. Asking thought-provoking questions also. So getting people's minds going. And I want to mention also there are, so you might have heard the term call to action. So this is usually at the end of a caption where somebody writes like, visit our store during open hours, or call us, or book a discovery call. Like, it's the last sentence usually that tells people like, okay, you finished reading the caption. I got you this far. Now, if you want to continue our relationship, here's how you do it. Here's the action that you should take. That's one type of call to action, and that's what we call conversion call to action. I don't want you to forget about a second type of call to action called an engaging call to action. And this is usually a thought-provoking question where you are asking your audience something related to your industry, the product, the service, but even more so, instead of just asking about like something related to the product or service, it's more you're asking them a question that opens their eyes to the problem in their lives that you are trying to solve with your product or service. So in my case, as a social media manager, a thought-provoking question might be, tell me in the comments how much time it takes you to film one reel. Because it's something that it's a variety of answers. I do have an assumption in my head as to how far, or how, based on my own experiences, I know how long it takes me to make a reel. However, if I am a business owner who's trying to create a resource in order to help others, I need to create the resource that attracts them. And so in order to create a resource, I have to put my experiences and assumptions aside and get some feedback from people to realistically answer the question, how long does it take my clients to create a reel? And if it's like 60 minutes compared to my, I don't know, 10 minutes, like in and out the door, from finding the real audio to caption and hitting share, then that's a big difference. And so I'm going to keep assuming that it takes people only 10 minutes. And I'm going to create something with the wrong audience in mind, where I need to put myself in their shoes and create something that truly helps them bring those 60 minutes down to maybe like 45, working small, and then to 30, and then to 20, and helping them practice that until they can get to the point of creating one in 10 minutes or less. So by asking just the simple question, you are able to get feedback with your audience to create more products and services that reach them and answer their problems. But also, by asking questions, it encourages engagement. It encourages shares and comments and people engaging with your content, which will make your algorithm spin. So you are creating content like that's human centric, but naturally, if you're able to attract the humans, then the algorithm will keep it spinning and push it out to beyond just who's in your follower circle. Last but not least, celebrating wins of your wins and other people's wins. So your employees, your community, society, if you choose to. So celebrating wins is kind of like, that's, everybody loves being able to wish people happy birthday, wish people happy anniversary. Like, people feel compelled to do it. And that is kind of in the social media world, an easier way to start getting your algorithm spinning again. So yeah, don't be afraid to celebrate those business milestones. Like today was the first day that I, opened my retail store. I remember one time I put out a post that was like, my win was firing my first client, and that's how I felt like a big girl, like business owner. And people that could, one, it was more transparent. So if you do feel comfortable getting a little bit more transparent, you'll be able to have relatability with the folks that are reading your comments. So for the other business owners that were reading that particular post, they had gone through similar things where it was like, yeah, that was like a big moment. So congrats. And, good for, standing boundaries. So just as an example of like celebrating your wins, um, to you, it's easy to think like, oh, this is just like another like blip, another lesson, another challenge. But if you can open up about the lessons, good and bad, about being a business owner, especially a Vermont business owner, you will be able to open up a conversation within your community that is honest. It's in a way also establishing you as a thought leader that is not afraid to have conversations, especially important ones that affect our overall economy. Okay, step 4, engaging purposefully. So engagement equates to growth. Commenting meaningfully, as we talked about, commenting has a little bit more weight than just liking a post. So if you can do that on other people's posts, in addition to encouraging people to do that on your posts, you'll see those numbers go up. Sharing other people's content versus just posting your own. I do like to put a little disclaimer on this where your content should still be at the forefront, but especially utilizing like Instagram stories, for example. On days where you are not commenting, or I mean, you are not posting, this is a good way to continue the conversation and support your other business owners without overshadowing your content. So for example, excuse me, sharing content might be an event that you're going to, like sharing the post that you saw that brought you to registering for the event and saying, I'm heading to whatever event, tag the location. Also, like, this is great cross promotion because they might share onto their platform, and then everybody on their list sees your profile name as well. So I'm going to this event on Thursday. Anybody also going? Question mark. And just see, like, you might get hearts, you might get DMs, like messages, you might get people being like, yeah, I'll be there, or like, yeah, like, or like, dang, I have to miss it. But like, this starts conversations and also offers cross promotion. Also with, this is why it's important to follow other thought leaders in your industry, so that way you can share their comment or their content on your stories. And if you don't have time to create the content, you're still seen as a knowledge resource because you are sharing the information with other people. And so that's how we can kind of like prevent this whole like gatekeeping situation. And then starting conversations, as we've been talking about, rather than waiting for people to come to you. So there is a theory in communications that I learned back in the day called instant gratification theory. So this is kind of like this mini adrenaline rush. Picture you are on Instagram, you're posting, and all of a sudden you get a notification that your favorite celebrity in the world liked your photo, commented on your photo, and you're just like, like, that's so exciting, right? Like, you get this rush of dopamine because, one, you have somebody commenting on your stuff, but you have your favorite celebrity commenting on your post. I want you to put yourself in the mindset that you are that celebrity, okay? So you are going to engage with other people and start meaningful conversations, compliment people, celebrate their wins, get curious about their businesses and offerings. In starting conversations with folks in the public sphere, especially in their comment section, so that way they get this like instant gratification, and then they follow you back. They're more compelled to answer you on the comments. They're more compelled to, like, it's not as weird if you were then to, like, have this conversation in public in their comment section, and then you're like going to their direct messages and saying like, hey, it's been so good getting to know you in the comment section. I thought, it's time to bring it to the inbox. Would you be interested in grabbing coffee sometime or meeting on Zoom, whatever? So that's a very strategic way to start building a business relationship with people, rather than waiting for them to come to you in the form of your media. And that is not to say never post again, but this is a way, especially if you are struggling to keep up with consistency in posting media, this is a great way to like counterbalance. And this is a way you could do this in like 15 minutes or less. I would even say 10 minutes or less a day. Because networking is all about reciprocity. Connecting with humans will tell your algorithm that you are an active participant in the community. Because the harsh truth is Instagram, business, Blue Sky, all these places are businesses. And how do businesses like that make money? Ad revenue, keeping people on the platform, people, staying engaged, creating media, and talking about, oh yeah, I posted this on Instagram, and their friend is like, I don't have Instagram, and they're like, well, you should join so I can send you reels. So like that's how these big platforms make money, and platforms thank their creators by being an active participant. So if you are feeling like, you're kind of struggling with keeping up with the demand of having to make media, I'd recommend pulling back the frequency in which you make media on the grid. Maybe you do more behind the scenes in the form of stories, quick snaps throughout your day. But really leaning more into this whole like growing your online network in the form of community-based communication. So here's your daily action plan. You could do this in 10 minutes or less. So spend 10 minutes engaging before posting. So this is also important to habit stack if you can. And I challenge you to leave 5 meaningful comments per day on somebody else's posts. And DMing new connections with a thoughtful note. So if you are gaining new followers, take it one step forward and send them, on Instagram, it gives you 3 options to send a text-based message, to send a voice-based message, which is my personal favorite, or a video-based message, which does take a little bit of confidence. I'm not quite there yet, but if you've got the skills, go for it. Where you can essentially send them a quick 1-minute note, a quick 1-minute video, or a text-based message that says, hey, it's so good to connect with you. I just want to thank you so much for following. I've been loving your store. I've been meaning to get down there. I would love to know how I can best support you and get to know you a little bit better. Welcome to the community. Or, hey, so-and-so, I saw your recent post. I want to thank you for the following or for the follow. I saw your recent post about XYZ. This is, we also do this, like, find a way to bridge a more personal connection, not just in the way that you do it by sending a voice message or text-based message, reaching out in general, but also it's good where you could like think of that as your interview, where like you could click into their profile, do a little bit of pre-work, and send them a little bit of gratitude. If you can't find that personal connection just yet, because that does take a little bit of practice, that's okay. Start small with, hey, so-and-so, like, thank you so much for following along. We're a small business owner too in the Mad River Valley. I just wanted to more personally introduce myself. My name is so-and-so. Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm excited we're connecting. Let's all support one another in the community. Like, this is a way where especially Mad River Valley businesses can start to really get to know each other if you don't have the time to physically go out to these networking events that happen in the community. Or if you're meeting somebody at the online, in the more traditional space, you can then continue that relationship and say, hey, so-and-so, it was so good to meet you at that event last night. I'd love to keep in touch with you if that's okay. Do you want to send me your email address? We could set up a coffee chat, like whatever your preferred way of following up with them is. But follow up with them. Keep the conversation going. So that way it doesn't just like plateau and then dip out. Yeah. So as I was saying, engaging purposefully, it's not just like, hey, buy my product, but it's about thinking about how do you build relationships throughout the customer journey. So I loved your post on XYZ. I'd love to connect and learn more about your work. So how do you do this? How do you start engaging with people? You can join your local and industry specific Facebook and LinkedIn groups, where oftentimes those admin of those groups are putting already prompts up in there to get engagement in their community. And that's a way for you to really set yourself as an authority figure. And if you are taking the time to actively comment, other people will see your perspective and also your profile and get curious and start to follow you. Collaborate with complementary businesses, which we are going to talk about in just a second, and then attend virtual and in-person networking events. And using that, if you are more comfortable going to events and seeing people face to face, absolutely keep that as part of your marketing plan. But don't forget that you can continue those relationships and make that time you spent out of your schedule even more intentional if you can keep up with them in a multitude of ways. So step 5 is optimizing your profile, because if you're doing all of this hard work and your profile is not speaking like to your business, there's going to be a little bit of misalignment. So your profile is your digital handshake. Think of that like your digital business card. It's prime real estate. So make it strong. Usually the first thing that people do, like the next step, you put a post out there. The next step is they click into the profile to see what you're all about. Somebody hears about your business, word of mouth, their neighbor tells the other neighbor about your business. The next thing they will do will go to your social media page. Kind of like it's like the modern day like Yelp, where like people still use Yelp, but Yelp is for specific businesses. If you're a business and like people go to your social media page to see the credibility is what I'm getting at. So what you want to include is a clear bio, so who you help and how you help with keywords, which you could switch out your profile bio as many times as you want, the actual bio part. Your profile picture, making it approachable and professional. Call to actions, being very clear. How do they connect with you? Do you want them to come to the store? Do you want them to shop online? Do they want you to email you, call you? Getting very specific. And then links, of course, to your website, to your booking link, or a lead magnet in itself. A lead magnet, if you don't know, is a resource. Typically, it's like an educational resource that is related to your business, related to services that you provide, related to the demographic in which you serve. It's usually an educational resource that you give away for free to a potential lead in order to attract them in a magnetizing style to your email list. So they basically have to exchange their information, usually it's their email address, in exchange for that resource. So they have to give their email in order for that lead magnet to send to their inbox, and then they're on your email list. So they move from a cold lead to a warm lead using a lead magnet. So that might also be a reason why you want to build your online network. It might just be because you have a conversion rate that is higher if you are sending email blasts. So that would make sense. In order for you to make money, you need to get more people on the email newsletter. And how do you do that? You create awareness on social media. So that's why it's so important in step 1 to define how do you want your online network to work for you. Okay, so your homework. Ready? Yeah, you knew this was coming. To engage for 10 minutes daily. Comment, direct message, interact with your Mad River Valley audience. Go to the Mad River Valley's Instagram site. It's right there. And go look at their followers list. Go engage with their posts. Go follow businesses from that followers list. Audit your profile. Make sure that your profile is optimized with your bio, with your photo, with your call to action. Create conversation starting and collaborative posts. So share a tip, share a behind the scenes moment, or share a question that starts to get engagement. I'm going to send this out with a recording and also get this to Eric Friedman of the Mad River Valley, but I've created a PDF that teaches all the businesses in the Mad River Valley exactly how to put together a collaboration post and tagging the Mad River Valley as a collaborator. The Mad River Valley is starting a campaign to get more eyes on businesses in the Valley. It is a collaborative effort, and it's a community effort. It's a way for people in the online space that are visiting, staycationing, coming to the Mad River Valley to discover the Mad River Valley as a go-to destination. And the only way to do that is to make sure people are aware of the businesses that exist in the Valley. So that way it makes it a worthwhile experience for them to go visit. So that being said, I would love for you to create a collaboration post and tag the Mad River Valley as a collaborator. And your how-to step-by-step guide is right in the description. If you cannot find it, go contact Eric Friedman of the Mad River Valley. He'd be happy to send it to you. I'm also around to send it as well. But it's super easy to do, and especially a good way if you are looking for a quick way to bolster those followers, because the Mad River Valley account has over 1,000. So that is, my friends, how to grow your online network with intention and purpose, and in a way that just makes sense, marrying the real world and the online world. I would like to point out that if you are seeing this before April, please consider joining us for our next session. It's actually going to be an in-person session at the Mad River Valley Welcome Center, and we're going to be talking about content creation from your pocket. So April 8th at 10 a.m., I'm going to be teaching you how to use this little device right here in order to create content that looks professional, showing you how to edit it in a way that enhances it a little bit, but really it's about how do you use the technology in your pocket to create content that attracts your visuals with your ideal audience. Thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Brittany Winfield of the Winfield Creative, and thank you to the Mad River Valley and Eric, especially for having me teach you today. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.